OpenAI 第11天的活动，使用 ChatGPT 工作的新方式。我们打开这个博客看一下，这里它预告下一次活动的时间。这里是它的一个直播，使用 APP 来工作。我们会在这里进行看直播，我会边看边评论，如果需要我会暂停一下。我们先来看一下。
Desktop app about 6 months ago. We launched our Windows desktop app just a couple months ago. And as our models get increasingly powerful, ChatGPT will more and more become agentic. And that means we'll go beyond just questions and answers. ChatGPT will begin doing things for you. We're seeing that already with products like Canvas, where you're collaborating with ChatGPT to help improve your writing and your code. And that shift will continue. And ChatGPT will do more and more on your behalf. The desktop apps are a big part of that too. Because being a desktop app, you can do so much more than you can just in a browser tab. That includes things like, with your permission, of course, being able to see what's on your screen and being able to automate a lot of the work that you're doing on your desktop. So we'll have a lot more to say on that as we go into 2025. But we've also got some exciting stuff that we're launching today. So let's dive in.
All right. Hi, I'm John.
这位 ChatGPT 的产品负责人告诉我们，这个视频主要是桌面的应用程序，它已经在 MacBook 上，它已经在苹果系统上推出 ，Windows 也会推出。在2025年呢，它会推出更多的令人兴奋的一些东西，我们敬请期待。接下来我们看一下它的一个示例。
So first things first, this right here is the fully native ChatGPT desktop app for Mac. It does all the things that we've come to expect from our clients. But what I really love about it is that being native, it's really lightweight, doesn't use a lot of resources. It lives in its own window, and I'm able to use it without having to context switch away from what I'm already doing, right? So we've got this keyboard shortcut, Option Space, that makes it really fast to show and hide ChatGPT. So it's always there when you need it. This button right here is our entry point for working with apps on your computer. And the way that I like to think about this feature is that we all copy and paste things into ChatGPT, right?
All the time.
All the time.
All the time.
This feature makes that way smoother by when we are working with an app on your computer, we'll automatically pull that context in for you. So you just focus on asking your question and we'll handle the rest. So you might notice that I've also got this Warp console window open as well. It's currently navigated to a repository that I'm getting up to speed on. And it might seem kind of silly, but I want to figure out how many commits per day are happening in this repo. We talk about velocity a lot here, so I want to see that for myself. I have no idea how to do that, though. So I'm going to use ChatGPT. So when I click on this button, I'm going to see all of the apps that are currently running on my computer that ChatGPT can work with. Important note, until you select one of these, we will never look at the contents of another app. So you are always fully in control over what you're sharing with ChatGPT. So to get started, I'm going to click on Warp. And at this time, huge shout out to the Warp team for all of their help in getting this going. When we first announced working with apps, we did not have support for Warp, and it was, I think, literally the first request was adding support.
Yeah.
So huge shout out to the team. They worked really hard to help us get it ready for today. So thank you. So I'm going to get started by saying write a command to get the number of commits per day over the past 2 months. And now I don't need to tell ChatGPT that I use Git because it can tell from Warp that I do. And it's just going to give me the command that I need. So I'll push this button to copy and paste it into Warp. And I think this looks right.
Yeah, it looks like the right information, but it's also kind of hard to tell what we're looking at, right?
Yeah, I'm a visual learner myself. So normally what I would do is I'd figure out how to get this into a spreadsheet, make a chart there, and then find that spreadsheet again in 3 years. But instead, I'm just going to ask for one. So make a bar graph with all of the results. Why not? Make it holiday themed.
Great idea.
And awesome. So this is going to show off what I think is the coolest part about working with apps, which is that it works with all of the other features and all of the other models in ChatGPT. So in this case, 4.0 decided to use advanced data analysis to crunch some numbers and give me back a bar graph. And what that means, if you really think about it, is that when we build features like advanced data analysis and bring them to ChatGPT, it's kind of like we're bringing them to every app that ChatGPT works with.
Yeah. That's great. So while it thinks about this, do you want to talk a little bit about what the model is actually seeing? Is it just what we see on the screen, or is it something more?
Great question. So an easy way to do this would be to just grab a screenshot and let Vision do the rest. But we actually can reach into the application to grab app screen content as well. And so these results will contain everything here, not just what you see on screen.
Yeah. Well, it's thinking hard about this. It might be the holiday-themed part.
I know. Oh, okay.
There it is.
Perfect. All right. I mean, that looks pretty holiday themed to me. What do you think, John?
It's holiday themed. I don't know if it's as holiday themed as we are in these suits, but it's not bad.
Literally nothing is as holiday themed as you are.
Yeah.
Perfect. But I'd say it's good enough. So I'm just going to download this, and now I can share it with a teammate. But with that, I'm going to hand it back to John to talk a bit more about programming.
Great. So I think that the use
在这里，它主要讲了一下它的一个应用程序直接使用确实是一种新的工作方式，和以前有很大的不同。接下来这个示例，它使用的是与 Xcode 进行结合，来展示一下代码的能力。
IDE of choice, and it's running a sample app that is actually a little bit of a peek behind the scenes into how this Work with Apps feature works. The sample app uses the macOS accessibility APIs to look at Xcode and tell us some things about what's on the screen. So it's telling us that there's a text field with these dimensions. It tells us that it has 37 lines, and we can go down and check that.
Looks right to
37 lines, yep, and it shows us the content of the text field.
And we actually use this to make the feature, right?
That's right. Yeah, this is a useful sample app for us, for sure. So this is nice, but it doesn't do any live updating. So I'm going to use ChatGPT to help add that feature. I'm going to bring up the chat bar with a very similar shortcut to what Justin showed earlier, but with a slight change. I'm going to use Option-Shift-1. And what that does is it brings up the chat bar with Xcode automatically paired to it, Xcode being the topmost app that is open that we support with this feature.
It makes it super quick to start working with an app.
Yeah, it's great. And you get this immediate feedback that it sees Xcode here. So these accessibility APIs are a little bit inscrutable, definitely hard to remember how to use, and pretty complicated, actually. So I'm going to use the model selector here, and I'm going to switch this to O1. O1 is one of our newer models here at OpenAI, and it does a great job thinking about these difficult coding problems. And I should mention as well that this feature is also available with O1 Pro if you really want to throw the deep-end coding problems at it, right?
That model.
Yeah. All right, so let's give it a prompt here. I'm going to say add an observer. So if selection changes, load text areas is called. And we'll kick off this request to the model. So O1 is one of our chain of thought models, and you can see that it's thinking about this issue. It's going to tell us some of the steps that it goes through as it considers. And wow, that was a pretty fast response from it.
Didn't have to think too hard on that one, I guess.
I guess not.
You got to give it a harder problem next time.
Yeah, wow. All right, so it's generating some code, and I have a fair amount of trust in O1's code here. So as soon as it's finished generating, I'm just going to copy this into Xcode, and we're going to run it and see what happens.
I don't see anything that could go wrong with that.
No,
What
demos.
could possibly go wrong?
Yeah, live demos work 100% of the time. It was one of the rules of the universe. All right, so I've
这里呢，它使用 Xcode 演示了一个代码，根据自然语言，它立马就会写出大量的一个代码，这会大大的提高工作效率。它的桌面应用程序呢，经常讲写代码，其实还有一个非常重要的功能呢，就是写作。我们看一下它结合使用写作的一种方式。
GPT-4 is helping me with my writing, and I know I'm not alone here. And so that's why today we're announcing support for 3 new applications: Apple Notes, Notion, and Quip. We think this is going to open up a brand new set of use cases for working with apps, and so we can't wait to see what you all do with it. With that, John, Kevin, you already know this, but for the rest of you, I give walking history tours in San Francisco outside of work. Big history buff. San Francisco's got a great story to tell, and I'm actually working on a brand new walking tour. And so why don't we try out this feature and help me out with that?
Let's do it.
Great. So here I have a Notion document open on my computer. I always write my tours in Notion. And this is actually a real walking tour that I'm working on. So I hope you all find it interesting. But I'm actually working on a new stop for my favorite character in San Francisco history, Emperor Norton. I know some high-level talking points. He was the self-proclaimed Emperor of the United States and Protector of Mexico, who lived in San Francisco in the 1800s. And he even made his own currency that was actually valid in the city for a while.
That's something you can just do?
Yeah, apparently. Apparently you can. And I think it's going to make for a great tour stop.
All right.
But I'm a little bit fuzzy on the details, and so I'm going to use ChatGPT to help me out. One option would be to copy and paste these bullets over, and I think Chat would do a pretty good job at going with that. But it would be helpful if it had context of the entire document, right? And so instead, I'm going to have ChatGPT work directly with Notion. So I'm going to hit Option Space to bring up ChatGPT, have it work with Notion, and I'm actually going to go ahead and just highlight the stop here so that the model knows what to pay attention to. And so now we can see we're working with Notion in the walking tour document, focused on selected lines. And I'm just going to go ahead and say, fill out these talking points. Right? Don't need to be any more specific than that. But one thing that is really important is that this is a walking tour, right? This is a history tour. Things need to be factually correct. And so to help with that, I'm going to push this button to turn on search. And now, to answer my question, ChatGPT is going to search the web, and everything it tells me is going to be grounded in citations, right? And so anything I want to find out more about, I can go ahead and click the links, and you really start to see this awesome interaction loop pop up where ChatGPT is helping me with my research in the context of the document I'm writing. So awesome. This looks like all of the stuff that I'm hoping to cover. And so it doesn't really sound like me, though. This sounds like, official results. And so I'm going to turn off search and just say, make it match the style of the rest of the stops. Keep it short, 2 paragraphs. And now ChatGPT is going to go out and read the rest of my document, learn how I talk and how I've written the rest of these, and do its best to imitate that. And so, awesome. This looks great. Let me introduce you to one of San Francisco's most beloved characters. You'll have to come to the tour to find out the rest.
Sounds like you.
So I'm just going to go ahead and highlight this to copy.
看完这个，我了解到呢，它的写作和过去的写作是不一样的。以前写作你可能写作之后，然后复制粘贴到这里。它采用的方式，你只要在电脑中写过的一个文档，它会自动的提取你的一个文档，然后自动的可以与你对话。如果你使用它的一个 search 功能或者是搜索功能，它会直接搜索网络上的给你回答。这两个对比之后，你写作就会更有准确性，有更多的事实，更有说服性。接下来这个视频它直播还更新了一种新的对话方式，就是当你寻找一个素材的时候，你可以通过语音直接和你进行对话，这样就会效率非常的高，也非常的吸引人，跟过去有很大的不同。关于这个直播呢，我分享完了。如果你有什么样的问题，可以点击下方进行评论。我们下一个视频再见。